Let's start with some yai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and a joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Yai-lai-lai, 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 yai-lai-lai-lai-lai, yai-lai-lai-lai, yai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai, yai-lai-lai-lai, yai-lai-lai-lai, yai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai-lai.
Shabbat Shalom. Good evening, friends. Welcome to this moment of peace, this moment of calm. And it's such an honor to join with those of you in the sanctuary and those of you who are joining from your homes. Engage with us, connect with us. Those here in the sanctuary are going to lift their voices so they can be heard through the ambient mics so we can know that we're all together in prayer. And those of you at home, lift your voices as well. Let it ring out and echo through your hallways so we can have this beautiful Shabbat moment together. For some, it's been a week of joy and celebration and great things to come. For others, it's been a more difficult and challenging week. And the Shabbat can serve as a moment to breathe, a moment to just be. Eternity utters a day. How much, how many emotions, how many experiences, how many parts of all of our different life journeys all coalesce in this one 25-hour period. This beauty that is Shabbat. So, as we enter into our Shabbat, Rabbi Jason, Rabbi Dana, Nick, we thank Louie and Kim, as well as Molly and Jamie for their help in services tonight. We're going to begin Shabbat, both here and at home, by lighting the Shabbat candles, bringing in the beautiful flame that will help ignite the next 25 hours of sacredness. For those of you joining at home, or I shouldn't assume home, for those of you who are joining virtually, I encourage you to have candles in your own place to light. And starting last week, we're actually trying something a little bit different with candles, because we have been working over the past year to end our services, not with announcements, but with what we call simcha moments, moments of joy, something to share about something that's happened in the past week, which is great, and we will do that again tonight. But we want to bookend the service with relational moments of joy that both start the service and end the service. So this is what we're going to do each week to play with it, see how it works. We can adjust from there. You got to try. So if anybody has held at a birthday in this past week or the upcoming week or in the vicinity that you feel is appropriate distance away from this Shabbat, you're more than welcome to come up to light the Shabbat candles. We have backups, don't worry, in case nobody's birthday. But if it is your birthday-ish, we'd love to have you come up to light our Shabbat candles to celebrate these moments. Okay.
Bueller? Bueller?
Okay.
No.
I don't know when everyone's birthday is. Okay, if you want to. We should get 365 people here for every Shabbat, just to make sure we have it covered. Oh my gosh. Next, we'll go to if you are celebrating a simcha, if there is something joyful in the moment, if there is, which we'll also share at the end of services, but if you're here to celebrate family, or if you had something happen in your work life this week, or there's something special going on in the world that we can celebrate and share together, if there's more than one of you, come on up and we'll light Shabbat candles together. All right. Come on up, come on up, come on up, come on up. They're nudging a couple people. Come on! We're doing it to multiple people together. The third tier is if anyone wants to come up. So, we can, Good to see you.
Yeah.
So what are we celebrating?
Come on up.
Got a new job this week, which I really like.
A new job. I'm just going to repeat just for the sake of those virtually.
Started this week.
Mazel tov.
It's great. And we just joined the synagogue 2 days ago.
All right. Well, welcome.
Bruchim habayim.
Welcome.
Our plan is to get married here in the fall.
Oh.
My fiance is getting a rapid test right now because we decided let's not bring our phones tonight.
Oh,
Ah.
My card in my wallet.
Yeah, such is time. Come on up, Miss Asher. We're not? Okay. I'm Jason, by the way. Gary, well, welcome to the community. And what a way to bless and celebrate. You're welcome to the community. And your fiance will join us in a moment. And if you wouldn't mind lighting Shabbat candles.
There we go.
And for those of you joining at home, we're on page 2 in the flip book. Or those who have physical prayer books, either here or at home,
Are we
we're
on
on
the
page
internet?
2. We are.
Oh my gosh.
Live streamed on YouTube. I should say, we're being live streamed and recorded for those of you who are concerned. If you mind lighting the Shabbat candles, that'd be wonderful.
Okay. She just turned around and went out.
We'll give it a second.
Give
I
it
think
a
she
minute.
might be
Give
finishing
it a
reading.
second.
Why don't we?
We'll start with the poem.
Yeah.
We'll switch. Well, hold on a second, Gary. We'll start with a poem to bring us into Shabbat. She'll join us in just a moment. I want to celebrate everybody together. So because it has been a busy week for most, I'm going to start with a poem anyway. This is a poem from Wendell Berry called "The Peace of Wild Things." When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the nights at the least sound and fear of what my life, my children's life may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water. I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. To be in peace and be free, we welcome the new members of our community to light our Shabbat candles. Perfect. Again, in the prayer book or in the flip book, the blessing is found on page number 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Begin Shabbat. Thank you both. Welcome to our community. We look forward to what we learn from you. So thank you very much. And we welcome Shabbat. We welcome each other with Lecha Dodi, found on page number 20 of the prayer book or the flip book. We'll be singing together paragraphs 1, 2, 5, and 9. I'll announce those as we go. Some have the tradition to rise for that final verse, the 9th verse, and face the door from which they enter to greet the Sabbath itself. But you do what is most comfortable to you. We welcome in Shabbat, and we welcome each other with Lecha Dodi, page 20.
Zachor v'zachor v'ribor echad Yishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem ol tiferet v'litila L'echad odi likat kala v'neshama nekavela L'echad odi likat kala v'neshama nekavela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki hi mekor haberacha Mirosh mikerem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila L'echad odi likrat kala v'neshama nekavela L'echad odi likrat kala v'neshama nekavela Verse 5 Hitoreri Verse 5 Kiva orech ori Shir daveri Kivod Adonai alayich nigla L'echad odi likrat kala v'neshama nekavela L'echad odi likrat kala v'neshama nekavela You may rise and face the entrance if it is your custom Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala Gam b'simcha uv'tzola Toch emunei ham segula Boi chala L'echad odi likrat kala v'neshama nekavela L'echad odi likrat kala v'neshama nekavela
We remain standing if you prefer on page number 28. Page 28. We enter into our evening service together with the words of Baruch Hu, page 28. For those standing, please be seated. Ma'ariv Arvim speaks of the God who creates the evening, calls it into being. I'll be reading on the bottom of page 31 from the Israeli poet Amos Oz. I know that the tide is not an independent force, but merely the submission of the water to the movements of the moon in its orbit. And this orbit is in its turn subject to the other orbits which are far mightier than it. So the whole universe is held fast in a clinging grip of strong hands. The forces of earth and sun, planets and comets and galaxies, blindly erupting forces, ceaselessly stirring in ripples of silence to the very depth of black space. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 32, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shokbeinu ufkumeinu, Nasiach bechukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'v'mitzvotecha, Leolam vaed, Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, ve'orech yameinu, Uvahem nehege yomam, yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavtecha al tasir, Mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael.
Page 34, the words of Shema, words so deeply foundational to our very being. Said each morning, the last words we say each night. They help bring us together and connect us. Connect us to the people sitting near us. Connect us to the people connected virtually to us. Connect us to Jews around the world. Perhaps even connect us to those in the other realms of life itself. If it is your tradition to rise for the Shema, you're welcome to do so. Shema is found on page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
For those who are standing, please be seated. We continue with Ve'ahavta on page 36. I'd like to invite Thompson. Come on up, Cole. Cole becomes bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. And it's an honor to have you lead us in prayer at this time. Page 36, V'ahavta. We join with Cole.
Yeah, we can update that.
Jewish adulthood doesn't mean real adulthood.
Physical growth happens at different times.
Amen.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem. Emet. Beautifully done, Cole. Yes, you can go take a seat. You've earned it.
Yasher Koach.
Yasher Koach. And so we continue now from those beautiful words that Cole just chanted of the Ve'ahavta to words of protection, words of the Hashkivenu, which we have in our tradition. Thank you. And we can find those words just on page 42 is the page that you'll find them on. Join with us. Guide us with wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamideinu shomreinu of your name. Guard us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamideinu shomreinu l'chaim.
We move to the next section of our service, the Amidah, our standing prayer, which begins on page 46. For those who choose to stand, we welcome you to do so as we join in the Amidah together. Again, page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up our lips as our mouths may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Kaumel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Kodnei HaKol, ve'Zocher Chaste Avot ve'Imahot, u'mevii geula livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atarav le'oshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, umidomelach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim bechol yom yehallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We take these next few moments for our own silent prayer.
Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael amen.
Page 253. Page 253, a prayer for healing. Crucial prayer now, as we're still in the middle of this pandemic. We think of all those who have been impacted, and all those who have given so much time and love and energy to care for those who are sick. We think of all those who are in distress and at risk every single day, simply because of whom they love, the color of their skin, how they pray, or where they are from. We think of all those in our lives who are ill, who struggle in mind, body, or spirit. For those joining virtually, we welcome you to add names for our prayer for healing to the chat. For those joining in person, we welcome you to say names out loud if you choose, so we might join in a prayer for healing for all. Page 253.
Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, ve'Leah, hu yerafeh ve'yevarech et hacholim. Mi shebeirach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, ve'Leah, hu yevarech ve'yerafeh et hacholim. El narfan Allah, el narfan Allah, el narfan Allah, rafa'enu et hacholim. Mi shebeirach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, ve'Leah, hu yevarech ve'yerafeh et hacholim, hu yevarech ve'yerafeh et hacholim.
It's commonly said that patience is a virtue. But that doesn't make it easy. Just look at what happened in this week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa, to our ancestors. It was all set up and ready to go. At Mount Sinai, Moses was ready. The children of Israel were primed, having been freed from slavery, on the path to the Holy Lands, ready to receive their declarations of faith. Moses has the Torah, the Ten Commandments, the tablets from God, written by God's own finger, ready to guide us and ready to bring down. And suddenly, tragically, it all comes crashing down, both the tablets themselves and our relationship with God. As Moses descends from Mount Sinai and sees not the people waiting to rejoice in the Torah, but the golden calf they erected in its place. Now, why did the people build the golden calf? There's many deep theological reasons, but quite honestly, impatience. Moses was gone for 40 days and 40 nights. People couldn't even wait 40 days and 40 nights before they turned to idolatry. Impatience. Or to make it even worse, there's a midrash that says it wasn't even 40 days and 40 nights, it was one day of impatience. Moses told the people, according to this midrash, that he would go up the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. And the people started counting, boom, that's day one. Moses meant tomorrow was day one. So when they got to 40, he was only on 39. They couldn't even wait one day. Their patience had run out. The so-called greatest sin in the history of the Jewish people happened because of one day of extra waiting. Why so impatient? Perhaps it was an issue of instant gratification. Calf was there, tablets weren't. Perhaps it was leftover from the slave mentality when time was neither flexible nor fungible. Perhaps Moses hadn't given them enough self-confidence to wait it out. Perhaps they felt that they had to have what they wanted to have precisely when they wanted it. Whatever the reason, the people waiting to receive the word of God directly from God, the moment of triumphant revelation, lost their patience and did the full 180 to create and worship the golden calf. Of course, patience is an elusive and difficult thing. As taught by the great expert of Jewish Musar, of Jewish ethics, Dr. Alan Marinis, the Hebrew word for patience is savlanut, which also means tolerance. The same root of savlanut, if you split the word in half, you get the word sevel, which means to suffer, and sivlot, which means burdens. We learn from this that patience is not necessarily a pleasant experience. We should expect patience to be the hard work we usually find it to be. That may mean enduring and tolerating. The experience may even feel like a burden. We only need patience when we're already impatient. If you're standing in line at the bank or somewhere else and it's taking forever, but you're cool as a cucumber and whistling a happy tune, you don't need patience. It's when you're already fuming and about to boil over that you need to call in the deep belief, the deep practice of patience. Rabbi Pinchas Winston goes further and offers more Jewish text about the concept of patience. He teaches patience is definitely a virtue, perhaps the most important of all. However, it's amazing how far a little patience or impatience can go to change a moment in lives, or even history. Usually people are impatient when the moment calls for patience, but sometimes people can be too patient when the moment calls for a little impatience in order to put an early end to what might become a disastrous solution. The Talmud teaches us, anyone who tries to push off the moment will be pushed off by the moment. Anyone who's pushed off because of the moment will be pushed off for them. And on an everyday level, this means we don't try to bring about desired results prematurely, as it says in Pirkei Avot. Do not be contemptuous of any person. Do not remove yourself from anything. For every person has their moments and their time. Which, of course, is hard to find in advance, as it says in Proverbs. Many are the plans in people's heart, but it is God's plan that truly prevails, which is the so-called modern-day idiom, a person plans and God laughs. So if we have to find that perfect time, but truly it's impossible to find, what do we do when we're feeling impatience, frustrated, angry, sometimes beyond ourselves? The Hindu writer Jairam V. puts it this way: we live like comets, though we love to be stars. We live like comets, though we love to be stars. Meaning we need to find a way to slow down and wait. There's a similar story told in the Talmud of a rabbi who turned down a difficult prospect. He turned a difficult prospect into a blessing for someone else as well as himself. It's told in Brachot 64a of Rav Yosef, who his future was predicted for him, that he would become the great head of the yeshiva, the great head of the rabbinical assembly, but only for 2 years, and then he would die. As a result, he turned down the job when it was offered to him and gave it to his contentious debate partner, Rabbah. Rabbah would then lead the academy for 22 years successfully. When Rabbah finally stepped aside, only then did Rav Yosef take on the job of the head of the academy, indeed for 2 years. But because he was patient, and he waited, and he gave his study partner, who we always disagree with, an opportunity instead, Rav Yosef was granted a long life and did not die as planned. From these stories, Dr. Mourner guides us into our lives and how we practice patience. He writes, of course, we are not totally powerless, but it's important to sort out what is actually within our power and what is not. As the cliche goes, the remarkable thing is that in both cases, it's better off to be patient. Patient with the things that are within our control to change, and patient with those that aren't. But patience does not mean being passive. We still must make a genuine effort to set the pace and trajectory of our lives. We just don't react to every delay or deflection as if it were denial, whatever that denial means to ourselves or to others. Mourner continues, in those moments when I'm good at being patient, I restore myself to be here and now, despite pressures to be someplace else. I reduce my straining against reality. I return myself to the middle path, not leaning to one extreme of being inactive and fatalistic, nor by veering to the other extreme where impatience, chaos, and destruction reign. I know there have been moments when I've been tested with patience recently, especially in the past few years. And I know I felt my frustration and anger and whatever else grow and be frayed. I feel that sevel, suffering, and sivlot's burdens of savlanut. But I also hear our tradition nudging us along to see what can come by working through it, from battling through difficult moments, from staying hopeful in the end. Our ancestors' impatience in receiving Torah resulted in the great sin of the golden calf. And I think we can manage to avoid repeating that fate. We live like comets, but we love to be stars. We need to find a way to slow down and wait. So we take a deep breath. We turn to others for comfort and support. We believe in the goodness of fate in the universe. We keep on going. The stars remain shining up there in the heavens, and that will help us take on whatever we face just by putting one foot in front of the other. Thank you for your patience to listening to my thoughts of a complex week I've had. We continue with Aleinu L'Shabeach, beginning the conclusion of our service. Aleinu can be found on the top of page 282 at the top. If it's your tradition, you're welcome to rise.
Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטש שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
If you're standing, please be seated. Page 291. Ish kochavim she'oram agia artsa, v'achasharhem artsam ovdu ve'inam. There are stars up above. So far away we only see their light, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we've loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly. Their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. Hem she'omrim la'adam et haderech, as we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We think of these loved ones on this Shabbat, to be laid to rest in future days. Barbara Rubin, mother of Robert and Evan, mother-in-law of Sarah and Carrie, Bubby of Jonathan, Rachel, Penina, and Hannah. We're in a period of Shiva, the 7 days of mourning, for Lenny Zion's wife of Al, mother of Jeff, Martin, Ellen, and Ron, mother-in-law of Sally, Sue, grandmother of Aaron, Jacob, Daniel, Alex, and Zach. Rita Stern, grandmother of Rachel Gora. We're in the period of Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning, for Gerald Blauer, mother of Jan Blauer Chima, mother-in-law of Endebuisi. Philip Culbertson, father of Katie and Jacob, father-in-law of Jim, brother of Robert, brother-in-law of Carol, grandfather of Gwendolyn, Harrison, Tio, and Miguel. Elton Stanley Lipnick, father of Amy, father-in-law of Miles, grandfather of Eleanor and Charlie. Elaine Shapiro, mother of Robin, mother-in-law of Mara and Ben. Gilbert Parr Gradinger, father of Lori. we observe the yard site of these loved ones: Marcia Alpers, Wilma Barron, Marvin Belowski, Jerome Jacob Brigida, Marge Bergson, Robert Borish, Amelia Bicey, Catherine DeWinter, Alexandra DeWitt, Millie Diamondstone, Erwin Ellentuck, Joseph Feldman, Mary Fleming, Francis Goodman, Samuel Gutman, Frank Hillel, Fanny Hockman-Lipnick, Max Katz, Edwina Clasterin, Marvin Kling, Josephine Lane, Joyce Layler, Alan Leader, Myra Mickey Levine, Anthony Lippincott, Ruth Lupson, Michael Maurer, Evelyn Medeiros, Sidney Miller, Catherine Moore, Josie Press, Harold Rogers, Eliante Shapiro, Gertrude Silverstone, Andy Westgard, Bernard Zalkin. If any names have been omitted or mispronounced, we invite you to add them to the chat or to share them aloud with our community at this time. If you're in the first week of mourning, we welcome you to rise. If you're in the first month of mourning, we welcome you to rise. If you're in the first year of mourning, you're welcome to rise. If you're observing a yard site on this Shabbat, you're welcome to rise. If it is your tradition to rise in love and solidarity, you're welcome to do so as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam almei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yithalei, v'yithalal, shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiram be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleno ve'al Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom v'imramav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleno ve'al Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, V'imru, Amen. Yoshvei Tevel, all who dwell on this earth. If you are standing, please be seated. As referenced at the beginning of this service, we like to bookend with moments of joy, not just to celebrate good things in life, but to celebrate good things in each other's lives, so we can also get to know each other a bit better and connect. If there's something wonderful, a simcha of this past week, something has happened that you would love to share, a good thing in life happening this week, we'd love to hear a few people if they want to add, so we can have a beautiful moment on this Shabbat. Anybody like to share a simcha? And if those of you online, you're welcome to add it to the chat as well. Nancy. Well, we defer to Nancy. Thank you. Repeating for those joining virtually, reconnecting with a distant family person who we haven't known terribly well, but no, a new family, not reconnecting, connecting with a family member that we haven't known before. Lovely. I'm not desperate. 5 days of skiing, not too bad. Becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow. All right. With all those and the other joyful moments, we're glad to celebrate Shabbat with you all. And now, for those who are becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, namely Cole, we invite Cole to come up to lead us in Kaddish and Motzi with Rabbi Dana. For those of you joining virtually, grab a glass. Why not? Let's make it a nice, beautiful, sacred moment together. And the words of Kaddish can be found on page number 5.
I'll take the rest.
Page number 5. You probably want the actual book.
And here we go. Yeah.
This off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our COVID safety mechanisms. Also child-proofing.
Not a child anymore.
Exactly. So adult-proofing, I suppose.
Adult perfect.
You ready, Cole?
Where are we? Is that me?
Together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta Ve'otanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim Ve'shavat kodshecha Ve'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim. Cole will take a sip, so it's a kosher blessing.
Woo.
And I'd like to, as Cole's sipping, we have a challah that will be, one of you can enjoy. Would one of you like to take a challah to bring home and enjoy? Who would like a free challah?
College?
You get one tomorrow. Somewhere in the Asher family we're pointing. Oh, come on up. They're pointing. They're pointing. I can't tell which direction people are pointing. Come on up.
Do I need to do a King David? Do I need to?
Over here? Why not? Oh, all right, whatever's up. You're going to enjoy the challah for COVID safety rules. You get to bite the challah and enjoy it and take it home with you. And we will say the words of Motzi together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. There you go.
Enjoy. Grab a bite. Grab the whole thing.
Everything's kid and adult proofed. And Rabbi Jason, you were speaking so beautifully about the stars, about comments, about patience.
All yours?
And it seems as though the appropriate song to close with would be Asai Nai, the idea of lifting our eyes up to the mountains so we can see where help will come from when we're in that moment where we need that patience, and being able to look up and see the stars as well. And so join us for our closing song, which will be Asai Nai. If you want to join along, it's on page 339. Yavo Ezri
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.